In this podcast, I will explore the truth that nobody wants to admit. So stay tuned until the end. It is Emetsi, your host on the Emetsi podcast, and I welcome you to today's episode. It is going to be deep, intense, and yet setting free. So if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, do it right now so that you can be alerted every time we post a new episode. We deal with everything to do with your purpose, your lifestyle, and of course your wealth creation. These are our three pillars, and they are founded on the principles of Christ Jesus himself. Like I said, we are talking about the truth that nobody wants to admit. I want to put a disclaimer. As we discuss this hard truth in today's episode, keep this in mind. This is not for people who have been innocently victimized, if there is such a word. The people that are innocent and yet were victimized, people such as those that were sexually abused or bullied and things like that. If that is your situation, I want first of all to convey just my heartfelt hugs to you. Nobody should ever have to go through that. So as I talk in this episode, I want you to give yourself grace to know that what happened was not your responsibility. What happened was not your fault. However, that being said, I also want you to be intentional about healing those parts of you that were put on you. The way you were wronged was totally unfair. But you gotta move. You've got to heal. You've got to leave. So it may not have been your responsibility, but recognize that how you live your life going forward is your responsibility. I am reminded in this moment of something that I love to say. If you were hurt wrongfully and you had no part in it whatsoever, it hurts. It hurts. And sometimes you may want to shift the blame from that person and onto yourself to somehow paint yourself as the villain in the situation, even though you were the victim. Please don't do that. Don't do that. Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace and begin dealing with those things, hard as it may be. Now, I am talking about situations where you were hurt, where I was hurt, and straight up from being hurt, as a people, we normally want to find a punching bag. We normally want somebody or something to blame. Remember when you flunked that exam and you blamed it on everything and everyone else? You blamed the invigilator. Or you blamed the day itself. Like, it was too rainy. The rain was just, irritating you. That's why you didn't write the right, answers and stuff like that. But then, I believe that if you are going to be successful in this life, you need to own up. And that is the part that nobody wants to admit, that you had a part in what happened to you. I don't care what it is. If it is not among the things that we talked about, if it is not nature, if it is not just the system being a system and affecting you negatively, the other things, we usually have a part to play in it. And I know this is rubbing off on you like really wrongly. It's rubbing your feathers. But you gotta stay. Because if you do not talk about these things, then hello, you are going to live through life playing victim. And you know something about playing victim? You stay a victim and never a victor. So let's unpack these things. We're going to focus on 3 aspects of your life: your success, your relationships, and the other one, stick around if you want to hear about it. So number 1, your success. I have interacted with so many people who, when I ask them why they are poor, the answers they give me ultimately do not place the blame on themselves, but blames another person. I get answers such as this: oh, well, my parents were poor. So, in my mind, I'm thinking, you mean if your parents were poor, then it is inevitable that you have to be poor too? When I ask people why they are not doing very well financially, they blame their cousins for not supporting their business, their sisters and their brothers, their friends for not supporting their business. No, I started this business and then somehow my people didn't support me. They were even going to buy the same thing I had in another store or from another person. Like, who does that? They should have supported me. No, they shouldn't have. When you put it as they should have, you place expectations on other people and you give them the power for your success. And I need you to move from that. And the most interesting one that people give for their failure in life is their relatives. Why are you not where you want to be in life? And your answer is, well, my parents didn't have the funds to take me to school, and I had this wealthy uncle. He just didn't support us. Okay? Here's the part you do not talk about. He was successful, but that success was not yours. They had the money, but that money was not yours. And when people have something, they have the power to decide how they use what they have. And if they decide not to use it on you, it is okay. It doesn't even make them villains. It just means that you needed to find a way to do it for yourself. Here is what I am trying to tell you. When it comes to your success, it is nobody else's responsibility. It is not your parents' responsibility. It is not your relatives, your siblings, your friends' responsibility. It's not even your government's responsibility to make you a successful person. You ought to make it your own responsibility. And when you do that, that is when you will begin to make strides. Because you know what that means? It tells your mind, you gotta go to work. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is coming to help you. And even if they ever did help you, they still don't owe you anything. They decided to do it out of the abundance of their heart. And the same way they gave you that help is the same way they can take it away from you. So if there is anything that you're going to take from this, is that your success is entirely your responsibility, nobody else's. And you need to start thinking in that direction. This is the part that nobody wants to admit. Sometimes you fail not because of anything else. You fail because you failed. As ruthless as that sounds, your failure is your fault. And you need to own that part if you are going to move on. I digress. But once upon a time, I did meet somebody, a gentleman. He was way older and vibrant, very energetic. Like, I know if he wanted to lift something, he would have lifted it all right. But this gentleman blamed everyone and everything for all of his failures. Okay? If he didn't eat, he didn't even blame himself. Sometimes he blamed me for living in the same compound with him and not sharing my food with him. Do you see how messed up that is? And some of you are walking with that mentality, thinking the world owes you something. Well, it doesn't. And your failure so far is your fault. You gotta change that and start thinking differently so that you can act differently, so that you can have different results. Now, I said that I'm also going to talk about your relationships. It's a very interesting one. When it comes to relationships, be it romantic relationships or religious, family, friendships, you find that when they fail, we automatically want to place the blame on the other person as the reason why the friendship did not work. Well, I tried, they didn't. Well, she said, he said, well, she did or he did. But the question is not always what they did or what they said. It is what you did or did not do in order for that relationship to work. And you're looking at me and saying, look, Emmett, see, the person cheated on me. I am so sorry. I am so sorry that it cheated on you, that she cheated on you. But I also have a question. What were you doing in the first place with a person that did not have integrity, that did not love you enough to stick with you, that did not love you enough to choose you over and over and over? You are not a victim. You're not always a victim. You had a part to play in this. And if you are being honest, when you sit down, you will find that they showed you who they truly were, and you chose to ignore it. You thought you could change them? Okay. You thought that they cheated on the previous partner, but they were going to be faithful to you? You thought that somehow you snatched that man away from another woman, or you snatched that woman away from another man, and that they would stick and be loyal to you? I don't know how logical that is. But what I am trying to point out to you is that not everything that happens to you happens to you. Some of it, you make it happen to you. And that is the truth that nobody wants to admit. When you are in pain, all you want is to blame somebody. Well, he's the one that cheated. Why are you blaming me? I am not blaming you. I am just telling you to shift the responsibility. Because when you do, you will see the ways in which you enabled yourself to be hurt. You will see the ways in which you enabled the person to act the way they did to you. They spoke to you badly, they insult you, they beat you. Well, what did you say, or what did you do, or how did you live your life that enabled them to think they could even lay hands on you? What did you do? How did you act that made them think they can insult you and get away with it? Now remember again, this is not speaking of instances where you are just, honestly, just wronged. But there are some situations where, okay, it happens the first time the person hits you, the person insults you. How do you move from there? Because then they've given you feedback. They've given you their feedback of you, of how they think about you. How you act from there is your responsibility. So if it happens again and again and again, you are not a victim. You are an enabler for somebody to hurt you the way that they do. And that is the part that nobody wants to admit. We all want to play victim. I'll tell you something about myself. Once upon a time, I chose a man that I had no business choosing. Oh, child. Child. What I am telling you is I had no business talking to that boy. Did I call him man? Let's back up. Boy. I had no business talking to him. I had no business loving him. I had no business doing anything with him. And yet I went on even after people warned me to say, this person, we know what he be doing. We know what he be like when you're not around. I still say, oh boy, he my boy. And I saw it for myself too. The person did what they did. And I did forgive. And I did hold on to them. And guess what they did? They hurt me more and more and more and more until I could not take any more. When I moved on from that relationship, I said, oh, he a bad person. Oh, son of God. I did say what I did say about that person. But in my process of healing, I needed to face the part that nobody wants to admit. That it was my fault that I was with that person in the first place, because I knew that he was the wrong person for me, and I gave myself leeway to be with him. I chose for myself. Like I told you earlier, I had no business being with that person, but I chose. So now I needed to sit down and think, what was so wrong, fundamentally wrong in my heart, that made me even to think or to choose that person? And I need you to start thinking for yourself. I discovered even though I was a confident person on the outside, I had insecurities on the inside that made me settle for what I knew was less. So when hurt by what is less, I needed to face the fact that I am the one who chose less, because deep down in me, I felt I deserved less. Some of you are walking around looking confident, doing A, B, C, and D, but deep down inside of you, you don't even believe you deserve the best. So when somebody approaches you, you discount yourself. You overlook your standards. You settle for less. And then when less hurts you, you blame less instead of blaming yourself. It is time to shift that. Here's the part that nobody wants to admit. You got hurt because you allowed it. Had you stuck to your own standards, had you stuck to your own beliefs, had you chosen based on what was truly in your heart, had you stuck up for yourself, none of that would have happened. I told you. This episode is about the hard part that nobody wants to admit. So, how do you move from here? Take up responsibility. Whatever happens in your life, don't point fingers. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. Okay? And when you look in the mirror, don't excuse what you see. When you see insecurity, deal with it. When you see lack of self-esteem, deal with it. When you see anything that is making you make decisions that end up hurting and haunting you, begin the journey of fixing it. Because some of you are actually making it a pattern. How is it that you've chosen 5 people and they all cheat on you? Are they the wrong people? Or are you the wrong person? Is there something fundamentally wrong with you? Because how is it that every friend that you get speaks demeaningly of you? They insult you. They gossip about you. What is it about you that makes them think they can insult you to your face. They can talk trash about you. The hard truth, you gave them permission. You are not always a victim. Take responsibility. How is it that you are not yet successful? Is it the economy? Well, in the same economy, other people are making it. Is it your background? Well, there are people with similar backgrounds to yours, and yet they are making it big. You have to shift the blame from other people onto yourself. Take responsibility. This is the hard truth that no one wants to admit on the MHC podcast. Stick around, because next time I'm going to talk about the third hard truth that nobody wants to admit, and then we'll get further into this topic to just see how you can move past everything and make your life better by making better decisions. See you next time.